Hello there, lovely people. It's Alex from Nintendo Live here, and Nintendo have finally launched their virtual game card system. And this, if you don't know what it is, I'll explain it for you. This is a new system that allows you to manage the digital games you download from the eShop and allow you to transfer them between different consoles. And it does make sense. Like, it's a little bit convoluted, and on the face of it, it's a bit confusing. But thankfully, the process, when you actually boil it down, is fairly straightforward, which is good. But have you seen the length of this video? There are a few little sort of caveats and stuff like that. Nothing major, but quite a bit to break down. The end result likely won't affect you, but I like to be thorough. What this means is that you don't need to have an internet connection if you're playing a game on another device that your account is on. Like that happened to me when I was traveling around Japan. I had my Switch Lite with me, and I'd have to constantly hotspot in order to say, you know, I'm allowed to play this game. Not anymore. But if you do prefer that old system, you can still kind of do it. We'll explain that later on in the video. First and foremost, this is only going to work if your console has been updated to version 20.0.0 or higher. To update your console, you simply need to go to System Settings, then System, and then finally System Update. This update does take a little bit longer than most, but we're still within the realms of seconds, thankfully. A far cry from the competition. When the system reboots, you'll notice some changes on the home screen. News is now green, the eShop is a sort of carmine, but more interestingly, there are now two new icons: Game Share and the previously mentioned virtual game cards. You can ignore Game Share for the moment, as that's really more of a Switch 2 thing, and it's not even how you share games with other people. What fun! Entering the virtual game cards menu will prompt you to pick your user account, and will show you all of your digitally purchased games. You can download any of your purchased games through this menu, but what's far more interesting is when you bring a second console into the mix. If you have more than one Switch for whatever reason, you can now designate which game is loaded on which console on a game-by-game basis. When a game is loaded, you can play it freely and with any account on that device, even if the other accounts don't own that game. What this means is that if you have a number of different devices in your family, household, bundle, or clump, as long as your account is on there, those consoles can play any of the games that you own. To do this, you are, as previously mentioned, going to have your account on all of the devices, and then you're going to need to pair them, but thankfully, this is a one-time thing per device. Select a game of your choosing, and then select Load this game on another device. You'll be prompted to bring the consoles close together and load the virtual game cards menu on both. Do that. The on-screen prompts are very simple, and the process thankfully only takes moments. You will, however, need an internet connection in order to complete this. Once they're paired, you can load each game you like onto each console, although every game can only be loaded on a single console at any one time. Thankfully, changing which game is loaded on which device doesn't require the consoles to be close together or even remotely present, and you can do so with reckless abandon. There's no time limit or penalty for constantly hot swapping if that's your bag. There is one caveat though. In order to unload a game from one system and load it onto another, both of those systems require an internet connection. That means they can't be in flight mode and they can't be powered off. Sleep mode does work, thankfully, so don't think that they have to be, on properly. When was the last time your Switch properly turned off? Well, probably when you didn't charge it in time. But as long as it's at least in sleep mode and connected to Wi-Fi, you can just do it. Pretty trendy, am I right? Well, gets even better because you can lend games that you have to other friends and family within your family group. A family group is, well, basically what it sounds like. It's a group of accounts associated with one another, up to a maximum of 8. And very thankfully, you do not need a Nintendo Switch Online subscription in order to set up a family group. You just need to go to accounts.nintendo.com, and it's really straightforward. I'm not going to take you through it here. To lend someone a game, there are a few hoops you're going to need to jump through. And one of those, and the big one, is that both consoles need to be close together, like proximity. This can't just be done over the internet. And unlike loading and unloading games within your account, this is required every single time. Every time you want to lend a game to someone, you need to bring the consoles together. You can also only lend one game to one person at a time. You can't lend them your entire library or even just 2 of the games from your library. You can lend other games to other people, but it's a kind of one per person sort of deal. At least the process is fairly painless once you've got all this in mind. Bring both consoles into close proximity, select the game you wish to lend to someone else, select lend to family group member, and then select the user of the other console from the list presented to you. They'll also need to be in the virtual game cards menu and accept your generous offer. Once they've had a secret wireless robot chinwag, the game will be playable on that console for 14 days. If you decide that you want the game back early, you can simply go into the menu and recollect it from that person. One little thing though, you guessed it, it needs an internet connection. Both consoles require an internet connection to do this step. If their console's out of battery, in flight mode, or in a lake somewhere, it's not gonna work. But after the 14 days, it will automatically come back to your account, so it's not the end of the world. You're not gonna run into those situations that so many of us did growing up, which is when you lend a game to someone and never get it back. I am still waiting for Pokemon Silver. So that's virtual game cards. A solid system, I think. Not perfect by any means, but certainly a more robust system than what we had before, at least in my opinion. If you do long for the old system though, you can get a taste for that if you like. All you need to do is go into System Settings, Users, select your user, select Online License Settings, and enable the only option on this screen. This allows you to play your games on this console even if you don't have the virtual game card loaded, but it will require an internet connection to play said games. If you have the virtual game card for that game loaded on another console, and it is launched on that console at the same time as you playing it with this setting, you will be booted out of the game. Not a bad setting to enable on what you might consider to be your primary Switch, but do bear in mind that this won't work on any games that you've lent to someone else. So if you've lent Roller Coaster Tycoon to someone else, you can't play that just with this setting enabled. This is not how it works. But there you have it. That is the new virtual game card system. What do you make of it? Do you think it's good? Do you think it's rubbish? Do you long for the days of cartridges? They're still here. For now, let us know with a comment down below. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, then why don't you load that subscribe button onto your current console and click it. And be sure to check out NintendoLife.com for all sorts of lovely Nintendo-related content. Thank you again for watching. Bye-bye. Select Lend to Family Group Member, and then select the user of the other console from the list presented to you. Is it a list if it's horizontal? What this means is that if you have a number of different devices in your family, household, bundle, or clump, you can...